that free enterprise is the one freedom that allows us to try to level the playing field by using the greatest gift that God gave us, which is the gift of imagination.
You're listening to the Leverage Your Incredible Factor podcast with Darnyelle Jervey Harmon, the place to be to leverage and scale a business that serves you financially and spiritually. I'm your host, spiritual business growth strategist Darnyelle J. Harmon. Join me each week for inspiring stories, powerful interviews, and business growth strategy to help you experience abundance in your life because of your business. If you are ready to play and pray bigger, let's get this party started. If this is your first time joining me, there's just a few things I want to make sure that you know. Number one, I am not new to this. I am true to this. For more than 10 years, I have been growing businesses, period. I am the absolute best at combining spiritual principles with business growth strategy to turn entrepreneurs into multiple 6- and 7-figure CEOs. And no, in case you were wondering, you do not have to choose. You can love God and make boatloads of money. And I'm on a mission to create even more multiple 6- and 7-figure CEOs. Oh, and we don't do hustle and grind. We do spirituality and systems. You might be wondering exactly what the incredible factor is. And if that's you, I invite you to go all the way back to our very first episode. I even give you a really powerful worksheet that you can download so that you can find yours, because it is the key to beginning to leverage and scale your business. And I am tickled purple that you are listening in today. This episode is powered by the Grow Your Business Toolkit. If you are a service-based entrepreneur who is ready to crack the code on having a 7-figure business, this toolkit will literally give you the keys to the 7-figure castle. Grab yours today at growyourbiztoolkit.com. In today's episode, I sit down with Emilio Antonio Gueverra, and he says that capitalism is about commerce, not politics. And listen, I have to say, the very first time I was ever exposed to the word capitalism or being a capitalist, they made it sound like it was such a bad thing. And I think that capitalism has gotten a bad rap. But what I'm really excited about is you have an opportunity to just kind of be a fly on the wall. My conversation with Emilio is that all of that is about to change. Emilio says that we've been given two amazing freedoms, the freedom of speech and free enterprise. And capitalism is all about free enterprise. I mean, how else, as he says in the interview, can you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with a God idea and start a business by 4 a.m.? Listen to me. This is such a powerful conversation, and it's the perfect time to have a conversation like this. Right now, businesses are being made or broken based on how they continue to show up during this time of global pandemic. And so we all have an opportunity to decide how we're going to show up. And if we are going to leverage a system like capitalism in order to take ourselves all the way to the generational wealth mark, if that is truly our desire. So let me just read a quick bio on Emilio. Emilio Antonio Gueverra is the CEO of Capitalist Conversations, a platform to teach entrepreneurs the power of the best economic system in the world. Through his organization, which is devoted to espousing the virtues of capitalism by providing entrepreneurs and business leaders the opportunity in an intimate environment to have a two-way dialogue with businessmen and businesswomen that have succeeded in business, Emilio is charting a path to improve the mindsets and money distribution systems for entrepreneurs around the world. I am really, really excited about all that we had an opportunity to chat about. I believe that if you are truly open to the feasibility and possibility that the best truly is yet to come for you and your business by really leveraging the power of capitalism, it is about to go all the way down. My favorite part of the interview was where Emilio broke down the entire process that we can use because of capitalism if we wake up at 3 a.m. with that God-inspired idea. And I also love that he talked about the fact that it's going to take mindset, belief, sacrifice, and failure to truly maximize your experience on your trajectory to building generational wealth. And listen, I want you to get really, really excited. I want you to grab pen and paper, because if you are ready to learn how to leverage this system of free enterprise to take your business to your next level, everything, this is exactly what you most need. Let's jump into my conversation with Emilio.
It's a pleasure to meet you, by the way.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm so excited to welcome you, Emilio, to the Leverage Your Incredible Factor podcast.
Well, thank you.
Yes. So let's first just have you tell everybody who you are in your own words.
So my name is Emilio Antonio Gueverra, and I am the CEO of Capitalist Conversations, Inc., a company located out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Our entire purpose, our whole purpose, what we do is we provide an environment for entrepreneurs of all kinds from various industries to have the opportunity to get up close and personal with capitalists that have used the free enterprise system to become successful. And we're very avid promoters of capitalism and free enterprise, because we believe that there are two freedoms that we really should appreciate more than anything else in this country, and that is free speech first, and secondly, we believe that free enterprise is the one freedom that allows us to try to level the playing field by using the greatest gift that God gave us, which is the gift of imagination.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love it. Oh, okay. So you're teaching already. In case you didn't catch it, he's already dropped some serious nuggets about the fact that we have two freedoms that as entrepreneurs, we don't even sometimes realize, Emilio, that we've bought into capitalism, that we've bought into free enterprise. But
right.
Free enterprise is the whole reason why. And what I love about entrepreneurship, free enterprise, is that it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what school you went to.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter anything, but that you just said a few minutes ago, you've got creativity. You've created an idea for something that solves a problem.
Absolutely.
And you can take that problem solving thing all the way to the bank.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if you know this about me. I love talking about money.
Right.
I'm one of those God girls that I love God, but I love money, and I love bringing them together. So I know this is going to be a really, really good conversation. Yes. So how did you land here? How did this work start for you?
Well, my parents, if for those that may be wondering why is my name, and yet, you see me, right? What it is I think that I recall many years ago that, prior to the internet, where people have so much more access to information, I used to have to always explain to people why did I look African, of African descent, yet my name was Emilio Antonio Gueverra, Yeah. And because most African Americans didn't understand, how did I look? Like they would say, "You're not black," Mm-hmm. And what so many times we just were not educated about in our public school systems was that Africans were taken to all parts of the world and all parts of the Americas. The Americas is not just the United States and North America, which also has Canada and Mexico, right. But you have Central America, Nicaragua and Honduras and Panama and all those countries, Costa Rica, and then you have South America, right, with all of those guys. So the Africans were not just brought to the northern part of America. They were brought to all parts of the Americas, and my parents are from Honduras, Central America. Okay. And the interesting thing is, in any one of those countries you go to, just like in Honduras, the people of African descent are also segregated. They have their own communities, and the natives of those countries have their communities, and so my parents came from Honduras. Our descendants are from Africa. They landed in the Spanish, who were the slave traders that brought them to Central America, left their language and their culture in Honduras as well, just as though as well as the English did here in North America, and so I speak Spanish fluently. I read it and write it, and so my parents, they emigrated here. My uncle, who just passed away in August of was it in a couple of months ago, he passed away, 103 years old.
Wow. Talk about legacy.
He brought my father here to the U.S. many, many, many years ago. During that time, he was a merchant marine. And most people don't know, but the merchant marines are they're quiet. You don't hear a lot about them, but they're the ones that actually move supplies around the oceans from nation to nation for the United States. And my father my uncle was a merchant marine, and after the Korean War, for the service that they provided, the U.S. granted them citizenship, American citizenship. Awesome. And so when he became a citizen at that time, you could bring any of your relatives that you wanted to this country. So he brought all his brothers. He had a sister. She didn't want to come, so she stayed in Honduras, but my father did. And he came here and then brought my mother and my oldest 3 siblings. And the last 4 of us, because there's 7 of us, I'm one of the last 4. We were born here in the U.S. and I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Okay. And raised in the South Bronx. Okay. I always tell people that was a lateral move. Okay, from the ghettos of Brooklyn to the ghettos of the South Bronx.
Right. Look, all I can hear in my mind is South Bronx, South Bronx. Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
I love that. I love the history lesson, because I think a lot of people don't realize it. I remember the first time I went to the Dominican Republic. Right. And they thought we were Dominican. Right. Because we look like the women there, right? And that was my first time ever experiencing it. And it is, amazing to realize that we're everywhere. And what I love about even your culture, even though you are born in America, that your parents kept everything about your culture as part of you, so that you are fluent in Spanish and of course your name and all of that. I love the history that comes around with us, because we all have a story, right? And I think every single one of us, our story is designed to create an environment for us to thrive. And so, I know when we talked last week in an outside conversation that is leading to us now having this conversation on the podcast, you shared about your background and that you had spent some time working with hair product companies. Yes. I think initially, and then eventually, you kind of landed where you are today, really promoting free enterprise and free speech and teaching people, or allowing people the awareness and the access to people who have done it extremely well. And I love that. So I want to talk about, because I imagine that the biggest shift that the participants of your events and the conversations that you're having with these powerful billionaires is the mindset, right?
Yes. I mean, interestingly enough, what I think that one of the things that I have found in this process of us really trying to have entrepreneurs the opportunity to network in small, intimate settings with these individuals is that first we actually do go through a full presentation of the difference between capitalism and socialism. Okay. So we actually teach and share what those principles are. And what you will find, Darnyelle, that's really fascinating is that the majority of the people that sit in our room that are entrepreneurs, they are actively capitalists and don't even realize it.
That's why I wanted to have you on, because I think I remember the first time I heard about capitalism, it was like a bad thing.
Exactly. That's the
stigma, right?
That's the stigma, right?
But because it's a good thing.
Right. Because what happens is people see it from a political standpoint, right? And so then they begin to, to divide themselves and form a perception on it based on what those that are politicians say about capitalism. Mm-hmm. But capitalism has nothing to do with politics. Capitalism is an economic way It's a way of doing business. It's a system created for those that are entrepreneurs to be able to trade, right? So that's where there's a whole history about that I could talk about where we don't have time to do all that, but how it came about. But that's what it is, you know? And so it has nothing to do with your political perspective. Yeah. It is a way of doing commerce, you know? And a country like ours, which is based as a democracy, believes in capitalism as a means to allow people and individuals that individual freedom to express themselves in using, as I said before, the greatest gift that God gave us, which is imagination. There is no other system, there's no other ism that allows you to be able to do that. You know, we all hear about this thing where you have an idea and you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with this idea. You write the idea down. Right. Well, capitalism is the only ism that allows you to be able to execute on that idea that you got from God at 3 a.m. in the morning, right? Because you can immediately go to irs.gov and check to see, does anybody have this name that I have been thinking about, right? If they don't, you can register your business name right then and there. If you got the idea at 3 o'clock in the morning, at 3:01 a.m., you can register the name, right? You know, and get your EIN number. And guess what? You can do it on the internet because it is free enterprise that has allowed the internet to be free for people to be able to use it in this country, right? Where they don't shut down the internet here for any reason, right? And then right after you do that, at 3:05 a.m., you can actually go to your Secretary of State website and see if you can register the name and incorporate it in any way that you wish if you want to, right? Right. And then you can go to an online bank if you want to. Once you've gotten all that, you don't even have to ever leave your house. You can do all that right now while you're on lockdown. Right. Okay. Right. You know, a week later, after you've gotten your Secretary of State, depending on how long or how fast it takes for them to get you that, send you that registration by email now, right? You don't have to go to the office of your the state capitol anymore and do that. You can do it by email. They'll send it to you by email. After that, you can open up a bank account, and just like that, you're in business. Yeah. You know, you can start advertising online now. While you're in lockdown, you can do all these things. Right. You know what I mean? And free enterprise is the only a way that you're able to do that. Capitalism is the only ism that allows you to do that. Other countries that don't have capitalism as a basis of economics, you can't do it that easily. There are only certain few that can. You know, here, I don't care where you are. You could be in the ghetto. You could be living in a basement right now, and you could come up with these ideas. And if you have the few cents that it takes, or the few dollars and cents to put it together, you can get started. Yeah. And that's why I believe, and that's why I say, capitalism is the greatest ism I rather live under. Yeah. You know, because and I'll say this one other thing to share with you. You know, and I know that people, as we just said earlier, they put a bad spin on capitalism. But let's take a look at it like this, right? My sister is a registered nurse, you know, right now. Her husband is a medical doctor, okay? They're on the front lines right now. Yeah. You know, they're being of service to all of us right now, you know, with what they're doing. And thank God for them, you know? Absolutely. But a part of their drive to do what they're doing, and all the first responders right now in the medical field that are doing what they're doing, part of their drive is the commitment they made to their profession. Part of it is that when they graduated, they took an oath to serve humanity in that way. Yeah. And they took this oath, and the oath was written in that where it says that they have to commit to the fact that at any time they will do whatever it takes to save a life, right? Well, guess what, Darnyelle? You and I can right now Google stories about doctors who have not held up to that oath, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does the oath change?
No.
Does the script of the oath that they took change?
No.
No, it doesn't change. Does the definition of capitalism change? No. It is the individuals that are practicing that make it either good or bad. There are bad actors in capitalism, just as there are bad actors in other forms, right? In other areas. But there are more good. If we are godly people, if we have faith in humanity as God would want us to have, we have to believe that there are more capitalists out here doing great things than there are bad capitalists.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. So I love that, the way that you broke it down, because I think some people, like you said, capitalism is the only ism that you would want to have access to, but it is what allows us as entrepreneurs, as you just so easily and eloquently laid out. 3 o'clock in the morning, we get a God idea, and by 4 a.m. we're in business.
Right.
Where else does that happen? And I say all the time, Emilio, that as entrepreneurs, we literally have a printing press out back. Like, the words that should never come out of our mouth if we're an entrepreneur is, I can't afford it.
Right.
Because we can always create.
That's right.
Always. And you know why we can always create? Capitalism.
Exactly.
Because we live in a society that believes in free enterprise. And
that's right.
Enterprise is the backbone of our economy. And it is the reason why so many people get to experience life at the level that they get to live it at, because of capitalism.
Exactly.
And I felt like, there needs to be more of an awareness, which is why I'm so excited about what you're doing amongst entrepreneurs, and specifically everybody who listens to my podcast doesn't look like you or I, right?
Right.
There are some people who are, of a different persuasion that listen.
Yes.
Especially in our community, we are often not as aware and educated about the things that are for our betterment. And I believe that capitalism is for our betterment.
Right.
And that there's an opportunity, if we truly want to leverage our incredible factor, to know everything that's at our disposal to do so. Right.
Yeah.
And so I know you've been doing these capitalist conversations where you've been, meeting with billionaires, or as you said, because I don't know if they're all billionaires. Are they all billionaires?
No, they're but they are they millionaire status and above. For example, before all of this happened, we had just kicked off a tour with Dr. Michael V. Roberts, who him and his brother built a $1 billion company out of St. Louis, Missouri. An author of 2 books, Action Has No Season 1, and then he's now completed Action Has No Season 2. And right after he completed that book, we actually launched the tour in November. We had a launch party here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And in March of this year, we had the first event in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we were on our way to completing a 27-city tour. We were on our way to Atlanta, and then to Miami, and so forth and so on.
Right, you were coming to Baltimore. I think I saw Baltimore on the list.
Right, absolutely. And so the whole premise was going to be, he's the headliner. We were adding on 3 multimillionaires in each city as we went. So by the time we were done, we would have come across 81 multimillionaires would have came along with us on this tour with Dr. Roberts himself. In March in Charlotte, we had Michael and Ramona Woods, the founders of Ashtay Hair Care Products, who were featured on the Prophet. And as a matter of fact, they just had their second episode was
the Inside Look. I saw
this past Sunday on the Prophet, the follow-up episode to see, and it was a great episode. And then we also had Charlie Scott, who is the CEO of Soleil System, which is the holding company for Care Clicks, which is a telehealth company, which of course, as we all know what's happening right now, here you have a young African-American who is the majority owner of a publicly traded company called Care Clicks, right? So these are the individuals that we have at our type individuals at our events. And people were actually, they were excited about that particular one that we did, where we had these individuals that participated. they had an opportunity to really, learn about, what does it really take to build companies and for them to last. Dr. Roberts, written 2 books about what it takes to do that.
For those of you who don't know the name, Dr. Roberts is the person who paid off the loans for the graduating class of Morehouse.
No, that's not Dr. Michael B. Roberts. That's Robert Smith.
Oh, Robert Smith. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
They're both very successful, but Robert Smith is the one.
Okay, Robert Smith. Okay.
Yeah, but he's helped a lot of. He's helped. Dr. Michael B. Roberts has been instrumental in helping many young entrepreneurs and many students and many schools, to go on to live a better life by sharing his time and his treasure too. So
that's why I got him confused, because I've seen so many things that he's done for people in college, and so that's my bad.
Right.
I'm thinking, because I've seen so many stories. I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So no, but he's done some amazing things as well. But again, right, when you really think about it, right, let's talk about these gentlemen that we're talking about, all of them, right? They couldn't do what they do to help others unless they had it.
Yeah.
You can't give what you don't have.
That's right.
And
you won't get it unless you understand what I'm going to call the pillars of capitalism, which may not be the same thing that you would utilize, but understanding, first and foremost, we talked about it a little bit earlier, mindset, right? So you have got to have a paradigm shift, because a lot of people, especially in our community, we don't come from wealth and affluence. So we don't even know what it looks like. We don't know what it looks like at the beginning, what it could potentially grow to. And if we are to experience it, we end up losing it because we haven't learned how to deal with it. So I think that is probably the first thing, and that awareness and understanding how capitalism works, and understanding both the pros and the cons, because there's pros and cons to everything of capitalism, and then having a clear plan, blueprint, map, whichever word is appropriate, of how you're going to leverage it so that it begins to create what it is that you are wanting to get from it. Right.
And exactly. And the other thing too is that I think that one of the perceptions is that the majority of wealthy people inherited it, right? That's the perception, and that you don't really have a chance because somebody gave them that money, but that's not factual. No. The majority of people that are doing well, they worked for it. They earned it, and they came up with an idea that you and I decided that we wanted to participate in what that idea was, and whether it was a good or a service, and we purchased it. Yeah. And enough of us purchased it, that it helped them to become wealthy. Yeah. I mean, it's just that simple, And so if you have a product that that enough people want to purchase it, you have the same opportunity. Like I was just watching the gentleman that came up with the Ring product, right? For how long have you and I been seeing that doorbell on our doors every time we went in and out the door of our houses, right? For years and years, you and I have been going in and out of our doors. People have been ringing our doorbells, and we never thought about the fact, what else could we do with this doorbell? Right. And this gentleman said, what, I think we could put a camera on this thing. I think we could do something else with it. And that easily a Ring was brought about, right? I mean, I have one on my door. Right.
I mean, it was so.
And so, it's that, it's that simple. So do we get mad at this gentleman that came up with this product, and enough of us that liked the product, purchased the product, and he manufactured it for a certain price, and then he sold it for a price where he could make a profit on it, and that's what our system is created for.
Let's talk about Sticky notes.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely, right?
that is, I mean, there's so many ideas. And
if you look around your
this is why
house,
I love when you say creativity and
right,
innovation and just how can we do this better? How can we do this differently? How can we use this to solve a problem? Which honestly, Emilio, every entrepreneur either has already asked themselves that or
right,
will ask themselves that, because
exactly.
that's how you get to the point where the problem that you're solving with the product or service that you've created reaches enough people, because business is a numbers game.
Exactly.
And that's why that's part of the reason why I think I'm so in love with business and entrepreneurship, because there
Right.
is no gray area. The
Right.
numbers tell the story, and either you
That's
are
right.
producing enough effort to create enough numbers or you're not. There's no one
Exactly.
to be upset with but yourself, because you
Right.
didn't follow it all the way through. And when you follow it all the way through, you get to see what's possible. And I love listening to stories of, the Ashtray product or anybody else who is at that, multi-million, $billion level. I love listening to the story because it makes it palatable for me. Because, many of them, most people, like you said, they're considered self-made millionaires because they didn't inherit. They did the work to create it. They come from either as humble or more humble beginnings than I did. I was born in projects, and you know what I mean? Like, and they, despite all of the odds against them, they took this idea and they worked it and worked it and worked it and worked it, and they were consistent, and it paid off. And
That's right.
what I hope you guys are hearing as you're listening to Emilio and I go back and forth is you're hearing the formula. The formula is simple. Building a business is simple. What makes it hard is the lack of consistency. Most people don't show up for themselves consistently, which is why they never get to the point in the trajectory or the journey where the results are substantiated at the level where they've been praying and hoping that they would eventually get to. It's all consistency. And if we could just get more people to be consistent with the creative idea that they had at 3:00 in the morning, Emilio, we'd have so many more capitalists for you to present at your tour once you get to kick it off again.
Exactly. Right. And you just said it. You said the key word. You have to be consistent. You have to be you have to be open. You have to realize it all starts with where your mind is. It all starts with your mindset. It all starts with do you believe in what you're doing? Are you willing to pay that price? And also you have to be willing to fail. That's very critical too. I mean, your first idea may not pan out, but if you believe in, if you want to be an entrepreneur, then you keep, if as you said, the marketplace will tell you if it's a good idea or not, and if not, then go get another idea. But you have to believe one thing, that wherever that first idea came from, there's more there as well. There are more there. Dig back into the bucket and grab another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what makes us, that's what makes us, as great as we are. That's what makes this country great. I mean, are things perfect? No. I mean, nobody's saying that it's, a walk in the park, right? Is capitalism itself perfect? No, it started at one place and it's continued to evolve. There are capitalists right now talking about, the evolvement of capitalism for the next century, right? What can we do to make it better? What can we do to make it more inclusive? What could we do to make our stakeholders, their whole concept of stakeholders is starting to be talked about a lot more in reference to capitalism in terms of the community, right? The employees, the community at large. And if you really look at what's been happening right now during this crisis, you're seeing a lot of capitalists using it as an opportunity to really be able to show that it's not just all about profits for them. It's about taking those profits and doing something good for the community as well, you know. And now there's some that we've heard that have done some things that, you know, are, you know, not you know, that we could consider unethical, or, you know, that you don't think they should have done. Yes, right. But again, you know, let's not forget that, you know, that we're still all people. We're still all human beings, and they're going to be individuals that will make mistakes.
Right.
There will be make mistakes. And then also there may be some people that deliberately do things that are not right, but that doesn't mean that you have to abandon the entire system altogether. When it's really has allowed so many of us, you know, to be able to, you know, enjoy, as you said, you know, some of the good things in life, you know, because of our hard work. You
Absolutely. know. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, Emilio has said a mouthful. I hope that our conversation really helps you to realize the gift of capitalism that you have, a free enterprise. If free enterprise makes you feel better, if capitalism makes you think political, then let's just use free enterprise.
Right.
Realize what is really at your fingertips as an entrepreneur, and how you really can shape your destiny, right, with the right mindset and belief that you are deserving of operating at that level, whatever that level is for you, because everybody's money milestone is different, right? And the reasons why they want what they want is different. And if you're willing to, as Emilio said it, have the belief to make the sacrifices and experience the failures along the way, you too can land as a person who really gets to be a benefit of the system of free enterprise. So I just wanted to have this conversation with Emilio, just to encourage you that you have something great right now, and it can continue to get better. And like you said, wherever that first idea came from, go back into the bucket and get another idea, because the beautiful thing about the system is that the system is set up to make your success predictable. So if you follow the system, you will eventually get success if you are consistent and you continue to show up in order to leverage it. Emilio, before I ask you my ending 3 questions, this has been so good. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well,
I just want to turn it over to you for the.
Let me just add this one thing, and just to just add a little bit to what you just said about some of the principles that I stated. In one of them, you talked about if you're willing to fail. You know, failure is necessary. You know, I've learned more from my failures than I have from any successes, you know. And as a matter of fact, you know, interestingly enough, there are some VCs in Silicon Valley right now that from what I read, that won't even invest in someone unless they've already failed 3 times.
Yeah. Oh, that's
you know, so, you have to be okay with that. First of all, if you're going to think big, now, if you're going to think conservatively and you're just going to do something small, you know, then, you know, and maybe failure is not going to be a part of what you know, you're not going to have that story. But anybody that's going to think big, if you just took some time to read the autobiographies of those that have done great things in this world and that have built fantastic and great businesses, you're not going to find one that does not share with you the failures that they had to go through. The majority of them took them 25 to 30 years to really become the success that you see.
Right.
Right.
So you know. Oh, that's so good.
You know, and most people think that a lot of these individuals, it just happened. No, they went through a lot, to actually, you know, reach the levels that they have. And guess what? Because they think big, they'll do big things and continue to invest. And sometimes they'll lose it all because they continue to invest in the things that they believe in. And then they'll come back and get it back again. So what I'm saying is, you know, if you're not prepared for failure to be a part of your journey on your way to where you want to go, then, you know, you don't understand what it actually, you know, takes to succeed in entrepreneurship and to think big, right? To look at your ideas from from the standpoint of, don't sell yourself short, think big, give yourself, you owe that to yourself, and go for it, regardless of, whether if you fall, like Les Brown said, fall on your back because you can look up, you can get up, right? So, just make sure you do that so you can keep going,
That's so good. Oh, you said so many great things that I just want to pull back on. See, and I thought we were done, everybody, but here you go, just giving us some more powerful nuggets. When you talked about failure and how if you read anybody's biography or autobiography, you will see failure after failure after failure. I have this Darnyelle-ism that I felt like was appropriate to share here, and it is failure comes before success everywhere, not just in the dictionary.
That's right.
Part of the process. If you haven't been through anything, it's part of the process. Right. And then the other thing that you just said that I think is so powerful that, again, I just want to double click on is you have to, if you're going to be an entrepreneur and if you want to experience the success of free enterprise and take this thing to, as far as it could go based on the vision that you have for yourself as you're thinking big, you have got to operate from your vision point and not your vantage point. Because if you spend time focused on where you are, you will miss the mark.
Exactly. I love that. I love that.
Time.
I love that.
So good. Oh, it's been so good. Okay, so before I let you go, Emilio, I want to give you the opportunity to tell everybody where they can find out about you, and we'll make sure we put it in the show notes. And then I'm going to ask you our 3 closing incredible fact or wisdom questions.
Okay, so you can go to capitalistconversations.com and keep up with what are some of the things that we're doing. Okay. We're in the process right now of, converting our events, which were all live events now, to a digital platform. Mm-hmm. We've taken our time to really see how can we make sure we still deliver, that experience, because it's all about the experience, And so, but sometime in July, I believe mid-July, we're looking at to launch our first virtual summit event. So we'll let you know about that. I'll keep you posted, Darnyelle, so that, but it would be an amazing, I believe that people will experience something amazing with what we're planning on doing. But you go to capitalistconversations.com, you'll see that there. If you go to Facebook, look up Capitalist Conversations, our page, our company page. You can find us there, and with some of the updates and some of the posts that I make sometimes about what I feel about capitalism. And if you do those things, I think that'll be the quickest and easiest way to find us.
Awesome. Okay, so our last 3 questions. Number 1, what is your favorite quote?
So I would say that my favorite quote is by S.B. Fuller, who was my mentor's mentor. My mentor, one of my great mentors, was Joel Dudley Sr. of Dudley Products, and his mentor was S.B. Fuller. And S.B. Fuller, for those that may not know, was one of the first wealthiest African Americans in this country, out of Chicago, and the quote is, to every disadvantage, there is an equivalent advantage, but you have to find it.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
To every disadvantage, there is an equivalent advantage.
And then the last book you read?
Last book I read actually was the Action Has No Season book by Dr. Michael V. Roberts. I just read it again. It's a fantastic read. I think that it's something that those that want to really get a chance to understand, what being in action there and taking actions, particularly in these times right now. That's a good book. I think it's a great book that you can read. There's another one also I currently read right now is I Love Capitalism by Ken Langone. I think that's a great read as well.
Awesome. And then last question is, what is the tool that you swear by to grow your business?
The tool, you're talking about from a technological standpoint, or just,
keeping it open on purpose. We've heard everything. So whatever is the tool that you swear by to grow your business is what I'd like to know.
I think for me, I believe that all starts with the mind. I think it's a mental thing. I think all the other things you can figure out a way to work out, have somebody to, do for you. But to run my business for me, the most important thing is my mental mindset. Not in the morning, but before I go to bed.
Mm. Would you share the distinction of why it's before you go to bed as opposed to first thing in the morning?
Because whatever you thought you go to bed with, that's mostly where your subconscious is going, that you're influencing your subconscious, and wherever you are at night with your thoughts, it's how you're going to wake up in the morning. So I and I've even taught my daughter this, she reads 2 children's books before she goes to bed. But the last thing that we have her read, and she's 7 years old, is a positive book. Mm-hmm. So I was, one of my first books that I was introduced to was Secret of the Ages by Robert Collier. Mm-hmm. And I would encourage you, and then there's another called, and then there's another one called Riches Within Your Reach by Robert Collier. Mm-hmm. And so I started her reading this book from the time that she was like, I was reading it to her from the time that she was, in the womb, and her mother, my wife read it to her. And then we continued to do that even when now that she's, when she started reading. Mm-hmm. Before she reads the 2 children's books, and the last book is a positive book, because those are the last thoughts that I want to go into her subconscious mind. And I do the same. I read something that will leave me thinking about what I just read about, other than other things, so that when I wake up in the morning, I'm waking up with that same spirit in which I went to bed with. And that helps you to have the energy that you need and the clear mind that you need in order to be able to operate your business the next day.
That's awesome. I love it. I definitely love it. Thank you so much, Emilio, for sharing. I feel so humbled and honored and grateful to have shared this time with you. I'm so thankful to Ramon, who's just going to be really featured on the podcast.
My great friend Ramon, and I'm thankful to him, for making the introduction, and it was where now we had this opportunity to do this. That's a great guy. This guy just loves people, and he'll do anything to help anybody. I feel honored to call him my friend.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you so very much for being here with us today. And thank you for sharing and all of these amazing insights. Those of you who are listening, we will put how you can get in touch with Emilio in our show notes so that you can go and reach out and be on the lookout for those upcoming Capitalist Conversations digital events, because they are going to be powerful. Anytime you have an opportunity to hear stories of people who have quote unquote made it and learn about what they went through and their level of perseverance, you will be blessed, your spirit will be enriched, and it will offer you opportunities to take yourself to the next level. So until we meet again, I'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you.
Didn't I tell you that you were gonna love our conversation? I already know that if you had an opportunity to really sit and listen with pen and paper in hand, you got some powerful nuggets that are destined to help you to shift the way that you see free enterprise and ultimately allow you to rise up into that free enterprise. Emilio dropped so many powerful, powerful, powerful nuggets. I'm just blown away by this conversation. And if you enjoyed our conversation as much as I did, and you desire to connect directly with Emilio, then you want to make sure you check out the show notes, where I will give you a link to his website so that you can see everything that he has going on. Of course, as we discussed in the interview, COVID-19 has just wreaked havoc on live events throughout the world. And so, of course, what was originally intended to be a live event, they're still pivoting and determining the best way to present that information to you. But what I know for sure is that if you can lay hold to the principles of capitalism, you truly can begin to build wealth that is beyond your wildest dreams. And that incredible one is what it is that I truly, truly have for you. I'll see you next time. Take care. Thank you for joining me for the Leverage Your Incredible Factor Business Podcast. If, after listening to this episode, you know that it's time that you stop playing and praying small, you should go grab my Grow Your Business Toolkit. Based on the pillars of business optimization, this toolkit is the only resource you need to get crystal clear about what it will take to take your business to the 7-figure mark. Go grab yours today at growyourbiztoolkit.com. And if you enjoyed our time together, do yourself a favor. Head on over to iTunes, subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Until next time, remember, you deserve to scale your business, shake the planet, and fund the life you crave. Take care.